In the future, once humans reach the age of 18, they are forcibly required to undergo cosmetic surgery to become their idealized, perfect version of themselves. Those who have completed the transformation enter the inner city, where they lead carefree and happy lives. Those who do not accept the transformation live on the opposite side of the city and are collectively known as the Uglies. One day, Tally was imagining how she would look after the transformation when she suddenly received a message from her friend Paris, inviting her to meet. Tally was delighted when she saw the message and immediately set out to meet him. At the agreed meeting place, the two used binoculars to look at the castle, watching the people inside laughing freely, their faces radiating happiness and joy. Tally was filled with envy. Paris then told her that he would undergo the transformation surgery the next day and would soon be living in the castle. Tally felt even more envious when she heard this and wished she could turn 18 immediately. Seeing this, Paris quickly comforted her, assuring her that once he was in the castle, he would continue to stay in touch with Tally. They then promised that no matter what happened during the transformation, they would always keep the scars that symbolized their friendship. The day of the transformation celebration quickly arrived, and Dr. Cable appeared at the event via virtual projection. She blessed all the adults present and urged others to be patient, promising that she would attend the next celebration as well to give her blessings. The crowd erupted in cheers, and applause filled the venue, except for Shay, who was indifferent. Before parting, Paris and Tally bid each other an emotional farewell. They promised to meet again under their usual meeting spot under the bridge a month later. In the days that followed, Tally began preparing for her own transformation. Her days were filled with adjusting her physical data and learning about the benefits that new technology brought to humanity. Over the past few centuries, humanity's excessive exploitation of Earth for resources had nearly led to extinction. Fortunately, through the tireless efforts of Cable's research team, they successfully developed genetically modified white orchids. These plants could not only regenerate resources but also provide heat and electricity for humans, preventing a catastrophic disaster on Earth. As time passed, Paris seemed to have disappeared and no longer contacted Tally. Even on the day they had agreed to meet, there was no news, but Tally still went to the bridge as promised, waiting for Paris, who never came. Determined to find out what happened, Tally made a bold decision to sneak into the castle as one of the Uglies. As she approached the castle's edge, a passing crowd threw a mask. Tally looked around to ensure there was no danger before putting on the mask. In the next moment, a magical scene unfolded. With a flash of bright light, Tally instantly transformed into a beautiful woman in a gown. She then walked into the castle, which looked like a fairy tale world. She curiously observed everything around her. The people inside were not only beautiful but also lived freely and happily. However, she did not forget her purpose. After some inquiries, she found Paris's address. She soon located the transformed Paris, but he did not recognize her. Seeing this, Tally removed her mask. Paris was not as excited as she had imagined. Instead, he scolded her. He accused her of disrupting his life and told her not to contact him again. Tally was shocked and couldn't believe what she heard. She didn't understand why Paris had become so cold. Only when she looked at his palm did she realize that she was the only one still holding onto their old promise. Despite Paris's sudden change of heart, she still wanted to save their long-standing friendship. Just then, without the mask, she was detected by the surveillance system, and security personnel were dispatched immediately. Tally hurried to escape, but she was on the rooftop with no exit. In desperation, she opened a nearby cabinet and took out a safety airbag. She put on the airbag and jumped. After landing safely, she ran at full speed and hid under the bridge before she could be caught. As she watched the pursuing ship fly away, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, just as she relaxed, she accidentally kicked a pebble into the water, which made her look nervously in the direction of the ship. Sure enough, they noticed her location. Tally froze in place, not knowing what to do. At that moment, her classmate Shay appeared suddenly, grabbed Tally, and stepped onto her hoverboard, which accelerated rapidly and sped into the air. The two weaved through the dense forest, using the hoverboard's agility to escape their pursuers. After this shared experience, the two became close friends. From then on, they were often together. With Shay's help, Tally even learned how to use the hoverboard. One day, while practicing together, Tally asked Shay what she wanted to look like after the transformation, only to find out that Shay had no intention of undergoing the surgery. This baffled Tally, as she saw the procedure as an essential part of life. But Shay thought otherwise and said she wanted to go to Smoke City. Tally was stunned by this. She had always been told that Smoke City was a fictional place. Before Tally could respond, Shay cut her off, telling her to meet in 2 hours before riding off on her hoverboard. Curious, Tally followed and they arrived at the Greenbelt, where they took off their identity rings and enjoyed the natural beauty of the park. They then went to an abandoned castle, a remnant of past human civilization. It was there that Shay revealed the truth. Smoke City was real. She had lived there for a while, where people valued a person's inner qualities over appearances. That day, Shay was planning to go back and had brought Tally along, hoping she would come too. But Tally wasn't moved by this revelation. Her lifelong dream had been to undergo the transformation on her 18th birthday and live in the castle. Despite Shay's persistent persuasion, Tally ultimately refused. Having no choice, Shay left Tally with a map to Smoke City before departing on her own. Tally thought that would be the end of their contact. However, on the day she was preparing for her surgery, the head of security suddenly came to find her and took her to see Cable. It turned out Shay's departure had alerted them, and they wanted Tally to reveal Shay's whereabouts. Although Tally did her best to conceal the truth, the lie detector revealed everything. Seeing this, Cable used the surgery as bait, telling Tally that if she could bring Shay back, she would receive the best treatment for her surgery. Still, Tally was unmoved. Frustrated, Cable let her leave for now. That night, as the preparations for the transformation ceremony were underway, Paris suddenly appeared, asking why Tally hadn't undergone the surgery yet. Tally explained everything about Shay. Paris then began to persuade her, even telling Tally that Cable was searching for Shay because she was in danger and needed help. Finally, Tally was convinced. The next day, she went to Cable and agreed to help find Shay. At the same time, Tally was assigned another task. Cable told her that the people of Smoke City were developing a secret weapon intended to destroy Earth and that Tally needed to locate them and notify her to prevent this extreme action. Cable then gave Tally a diamond necklace, which would serve as a communication device between them. And so, Tally embarked on a journey to save civilization. Guided by the map Shay had left her, she traversed mountains and ridges, eating compressed biscuits when hungry and finding a place to rest whenever she was tired. Though the journey was tough, the thought of fighting for a friend filled Tally with energy. That night, she lay down in a field of flowers and fell asleep. She was awakened by a choking smoke and realized she was surrounded by a sea of fire. Just as she was at a loss, a mysterious man appeared and carried her out of the flames. It turned out he was the founder of Smoke City. David then used a scanner to check Tally's body, which made her incredibly nervous. Her necklace was actually a tracking device, but to her surprise, the scanner detected nothing when it passed over the necklace. Tally passed the inspection, and David took her to a safe area. There, she was reunited with Shay, and the two embraced tightly. That evening, after being apart for so long, they caught up on everything. Suddenly, Tally told Shay she had come to take her back. Shay was deeply disappointed by this revelation and immediately told Tally to leave. Seeing Shay's resolute stance, Tally changed her approach, saying she would no longer force her but simply wanted to stay and spend time with her friend. Shay agreed, hoping that Tally could experience the place for herself and that they could eventually live there together. The next morning, a meeting was held where the group planned to burn the nearby white orchids. Tally, hearing this, was confused. The white orchids could regenerate resources and provide energy. David explained why. Those flowers would destroy the earth. Tally believed it was a lie. Seeing this, Shay suggested that Tally come along to see the truth with her own eyes. They boarded a plane and ascended into the air. Tally was stunned by the sight before her. Thick smoke billowed from the area where the white orchids grew, stretching into desolate wastelands. Tally was filled with deep doubt. On David's command, Shay wielded a rocket launcher and unleashed a blast on the white orchids. At that moment, two red dots appeared and approached them. To get a better look, David lowered the plane's altitude, causing Shay to accidentally fall off the aircraft. Tally quickly dropped a rescue rope and leaped after her. Amidst the blazing fire, she found Shay, but pursuers were closing in on them. Tally grabbed her bag and hurled it at the approaching enemies. The two then clung to the rescue rope and were lifted away. Tally and Shay narrowly escaped once more. The ordeal earned Tally the trust of David and the others. They brought her to Smoke City, where everyone lived in their natural state without worrying about their appearance. They spent their time on meaningful activities, leading simple and fulfilling lives. Over time, David began to develop feelings for Tally and even introduced her to his parents. Through conversations with them, Tally learned the truth behind the so-called secret weapon. David's parents had once worked with Cable. Together, they had developed the cosmetic surgery, but over time, they discovered that those who underwent the surgery suffered severe side effects, losing their emotions and becoming consumed by a blissful ignorance. When they tried to investigate further, Cable expelled them from the castle. It wasn't until the mass cultivation of the white orchids that they realized it was all part of Cable's scheme. She planned to control everyone within the castle, erasing their thoughts through surgery to become the ultimate ruler. The secret weapon she mentioned was actually a drug to counteract the side effects of the surgery. Learning the truth left Tally disheartened. She took off the necklace and threw it into the fire, unaware that this action transmitted their location. The next morning, Cable's forces arrived at Smoke City, taking everyone captive. To assert her dominance, Cable ordered Paris to kill David's father and then pointed the weapon at Tally. Shay was stunned. Betrayed by the person she trusted most, the crowd was instantly filled with rage. To atone for her mistake, Tally ran into a house, poured gasoline on the floor, struck a match, and jumped out of a window. The building exploded, plunging the scene into chaos. David seized the opportunity to escape. Paris tried to pursue, but Cable stopped him. She gathered the residents and took them back to the castle, burning Smoke City to the ground. After they left, Tally found David. As she approached, David picked up a weapon and lunged at her. Seeing this, Tally hurriedly explained that she had also been used. After a series of conversations, David finally let go of his prejudice. They then went to the school, where Tally borrowed an identity verification ring from a classmate. Taking advantage of the security team's patrol, the two leapt off the hoverboard. In the split second before the exit closed, they reached the experimental base in the castle. Tally intended to use the ring to open the lab door, but it turned out she didn't have the necessary access. Just as they were at a loss, the door unexpectedly opened. Before the guards could react, David, dressed in unfamiliar clothing, sprang into action and subdued them. Seeing this, Tally quickly took the guard's ring and locked him outside. They then found the place where the residents were being held. With their cooperation, everyone was successfully freed, but Shay was not among them. When they inquired, they learned she had been taken to the operating room. Tally and the others rushed there but arrived too late. Shay had already undergone the transformation. The person who once scoffed at it was now proudly showing off her new looks. Tally was stunned, frozen in place, and before she could react, Cable and her team surrounded them. Cable then used Shay as a hostage to force the three of them to undergo the surgery. As a cloud of white mist rose, the cosmetic surgery began. At the critical moment, a helicopter approached the window. It was David's team arriving in time, armed with a flamethrower. They sprayed fire, damaging the surgical pod and forcing the procedure to stop. Just as they were about to leave, Paris appeared at the door, waiting for them. Tally stepped forward, trying to reach Paris with heartfelt words. Moved by her emotional speech, Paris gradually regained consciousness. He slowly raised his hand toward Tally, but this movement triggered David's misunderstanding. Remembering his father's tragic death, David lunged at Paris and tackled him. However, he was no match for Paris and was quickly pinned to the ground. Tally, seeing this, used the hoverboard to knock Paris away, but the impact was too strong, sending Paris to the edge of the building. By the time Tally reached him, it was too late. The group hurriedly fled the castle. After regrouping, David's mother brought out the synthesized drug, intending for Shay to take it, but she refused. Seeing this, they had no choice but to hold off, knowing that forcing someone into an experiment would make them no different from Cable. Hearing this, Tally volunteered to take the drug, expressing her belief that she could stay true to herself and not become an emotionless machine. Moreover, if they succeeded, they could save countless people. In the end, Tally was successfully transformed into the perfect version of herself she had once dreamed of. Looking at the scar on her hand, she seemed not to have lost her inner convictions, but whether she would still want to return to who she once was remained the next challenge for everyone to face. I'm a movie enthusiast. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.